Hi there, this is Reading Closely, the benefit and arts of reading strategies. This is the brochure that I created for our close reading assignment. And so I'm going to read it as if we are opening it as a real brochure. So the first page would be this inside flap. What is close reading? So, close reading is the process of carefully reading through a text on a thoughtful, analytical level to better comprehend the story's purpose, theme, or key details. It often involves reading multiple times through different critical lenses to better understand the author's intended message. There are many different strategies that would fall under close reading strategies, such as double entry diaries, think, pair, share, questioning, rereading, comprehension monitoring, responding to text-dependent questions, and metacognitive markers. So here are some of the benefits of close reading. So close reading improves reading comprehension tremendously for several reasons. It enables readers to identify areas they don't understand to use comprehension strategies for improvement. It makes the act of reading more interactive. It facilitates the understanding of reading and writing elements. It improves focus by providing a purpose for reading. It can make previously read text seem new again. It can facilitate note-taking, which saves time when doing projects or assignments related to the reading. It provides the opportunity to practice reading strategies. It encourages cooperation and team building. It takes the guesswork out of analyzing a text by providing key guidelines. And it encourages readers to read a text more than once. So here are some close reading strategies in a little bit more detail. Double entry diary. In a double entry diary, students create a T-chart on their paper. In the margin, they write the page number. In the first column, they write the quote from the text, and in the second column, they write their note. It could be a question, definition, reflection, connection, or anything else. Think, pair, share. In Think, Pair, Shares, students get the opportunity to work with a peer to discuss their reading. They are given a discussion question, think of their own response, then pair up and share their responses with a peer. The interaction allows them to expand their perspective. Questioning. The act of questioning while reading is a valuable way to interact closely with the text. Questions can come in a range of forms: what-if questions, prediction questions, comprehension questions, engagement questions, and more. Questioning while reading helps pique the reader's curiosity and makes them want to read more. This would be the back of the brochure. Close reading strategies continued. Rereading. Rereading is a simple way to pick up pieces you may have missed during the first reading. A reader can choose to do this at varying intervals, after each paragraph, after each page, after each chapter, or after the entire novel. There's no wrong way to reread. Comprehension monitoring. Comprehension monitoring is one way we can close read. After each paragraph, the reader stops and evaluates whether they understood what they read. They should try to summarize the paragraph, identify main characters and their motives, and search for the use of literary devices and analyze them. Responding to text-dependent questions. By using guiding questions that depend on the text for answers, students can read with purpose and evaluate textual details for their strength in answering the question. This strategy is commonly used and is intended to activate thinking. Metacognitive markers. Metacognitive markers are symbols a student can use to mark when they've had a particular response or reaction to the text without having to stop or slow down their reading pace. At the end of the chapter, they could expand their metacognitive markers without interrupting their flow. So, when should we close read? When we are reading for just ourselves, we may choose not to close read, and that's all right. Practiced readers with high comprehension often do close reading strategies in their heads without even realizing it. However, most of us don't want to slow down when we're trying to devour a good book. We should always close read if it is for an assignment because it would facilitate our ability to complete the assignment. It will save us time by keeping us from having to reread entire chapters to support our thinking. We should also choose to close read when we are tackling particularly difficult text, regardless of if it is for an assignment or for fun. Close reading difficult texts can enable our growth in our reading abilities in substantial ways. So now I'm going to demonstrate how to do one of these reading strategies, the double entry diary. So first I'm going to open up my word processing program. In this case I'm using Microsoft Word, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to go to Insert and I'm going to create a table. And the reason I'm creating 3 columns is to make up for having a margin, because on a regular sheet of loose leaf paper I would have a slim margin where I could write the page numbers, here I'm going to be using this slim margin for my page numbers. So I'm going to put page number sign. Then here I'm going to put quote, and then here I'm going to put comment. So the book I'm demonstrating this strategy with will be Nightjon by Gary Paulsen. And I'm going to read the first few pages, and I'm going to model how to do a double entry diary. So chapter 1. This is a story about Nightjon. I guess in some ways it is a story about me just as much, because I am in it and I know what happened, and some of it happened to me, but it still seems to be most about him. Nightjon. There's some to say I brought him with Witchen. Brought Nightjon because he came to me talking to me alone, but it ain't so. I knew he was coming, but it wasn't Witchen, just listening. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to jot down a quick note. So on page 13, there's some to say I brought him with Witchen. Brought Nightjon because he came to be talking to me alone, but it ain't so. Ooh. There we go. So then here I'm going to put my comment. Why do people think the narrator brought Nightjon by Witchen? And what does that even mean? And then I'm going to also add that the syntax here is a little unusual as well. And then I'm going to just keep going. So, it happened. How it came to be was that Nightjon, he came, and it wasn't me, wasn't nobody, one or the other brought him, except maybe that it was God did it, maybe Nightjon to come. God and maybe old Clell Waller. He wants that we should call him Master. And they some do when he can hear, but we call him dog droppings and pig slop and worse things yet when he ain't listening nor close. He ain't no master of nobody except that he's got dogs and a whip and a gun, and so can cause hurt to be on some. Bad hurt, but he ain't no master for all of that. We just call him that when we have to. Keeps him from whipping on us. So I'm going to stop at the end of that paragraph because I want to make another note. So I want to add God and maybe old Clell Waller. He wants that we should call him Master. And there's some that do when he can hear, but we call him dog droppings and pig slop and worse things yet when he ain't listening nor close. So the master wants to be, and this is my note, the master wants to be respected, but he is only feared. You can tell because they call him Master when he is around, but call him names behind his back. So that's my note for that. I'm also going to comment that the author is using or is deviating from standard English grammar conventions, likely to create a voice through Southern diction, perhaps. So then I'm going to keep going. I'm Sarnie, and they be thinking I'm dumb and maybe up to witchin' and got a stuffed tongue because when I birth, they say I come out wrong, come out all backwards and twixt and twinst. But it ain't so that I'm dumb. I'm just quiet, and they be thinking because I don't make noise and go to twattering all the time that I be dumb. But I ain't. I just be so quiet and listen all the time that I learn things. So now I want to stop again and make a prediction. So on page 14, or on page 15, it ain't so that I'm dumb. And then I'm going to use an ellipses to show that I don't want to use the entire quote, I only want to use part of it. But I ain't. I just be so quiet and listen all the time that I learn things. And so over here I'm going to put my prediction or my question that leads up to a prediction. What kinds of things does Sarni learn as the story progresses. So these are just various ways I could use a double entry diary or a double entry journal, whichever you prefer. And like I said, one of the reasons that we use this is that by writing out the quote, we can save ourselves a lot of time when we go to do our projects or go to do our essays. And also by writing my comments, I'm also creating commentary for when I go to do those projects as well. And I'm also interacting with the text in a meaningful way that causes me to slow down and think about what it is that I'm reading. So I hope that this was helpful, and I want to say thank you for watching, and so long.